It is super bright out here, so definitely gonna have to keep my glasses on for this one. So we're gonna talk about letting go. And letting go is just one of those things that once you learn to do it, it gets easier. And then you have to kind of keep yourself in check and go, do I need to let this go or not? Because you don't want to become so passive that you just let your life fly past you, right? This isn't about being passive or passive aggressive. This is about learning to live with things that maybe you can't control. And once you let go, then suddenly when you're letting go of things that are not serving you or things that you cannot control, there is this silence and it feels a little uncomfortable at first. But once you get this, you will feel so much better. If you are in fight or flight or you feel like you're in survival mode, this is the type of thing that's going to help you. If you don't know where to start, pick one thing. Pick one thing that you know if you let go of, you'll feel better. And that could be belongings, that could be relationships, that could be something simple like cutting something out of your diet. And what this is going to do is it's going to train your brain on how to let go, detach, and know in the back of your mind until it becomes normal to be in the front of your mind that this is something that's going to lighten your load. So even if it doesn't feel like it's something that has anything to do with how you feel, you're going to be surprised. Do you know that feeling when you have all of these chores stacking up? I personally right now have a bunch of laundry and stuff I need to put away. This is something that, you feel better once it's done, but you avoid it in the moment. And I'm using something this simple because you can apply this to anything in your life that is holding you down. But once you get it done, you feel so much better. You feel like, I can relax now. Even if it's not completely relaxing because you have a very long list of things to do. We're all very aware that we all have things like that, right? But once you're able to tackle a few things on your list that you don't want to be there anymore, that's when you can practice that letting go feeling. And the most important thing that we can do is get into the feeling of what it feels like, get comfortable with letting go. I was always very good at, sort of holding on to things and people, and I didn't realize how much it was playing into my anxiety, certain things that were no longer serving me. The other thing that you can get this confused with is blaming everyone else for how you feel because you feel heavy. Listen, it isn't breaking any rule if you decide that maybe you need to be around people less so that you can go inward. It also is not a bad thing if you decide, you know what, I've kind of outgrown these relationships in my life. And a lot of these things can become very confusing, especially if you've been through narcissistic abuse or if you've been through anything in your life that you've kind of numbed yourself out and you don't even know what to start, where to start, how to start. Okay? Start with something simple that is normal in your daily life, whether it be laundry. And I know that maybe brushing your teeth should be something in your routine. A lot of people, they struggle with staying on track, okay? Drinking water, these simple survival things that are just getting pushed off to the side when people are in survival mode. We're all guilty of these things, and these things happen because our brains are working overtime to solve a lot of things that are not in our control. So you let go, and you can't tackle, let's use the laundry, for example, all at once. What I like to do is I like to set an alarm for 20 minutes for tasks that I don't necessarily want to do, but I know I need to do. Okay. And I know that once it's accomplished, I'm going to feel better. The other part of this is, for me, I do this with artwork too and music. It's like, I don't want to start writing a song or start painting a painting or start doing laundry unless I'm going to finish it all, then I can feel better. Listen, that's not realistic. That's not realistic. It just isn't unless you're some kind of superhero with endless energy and you feel like you can just go off with your cape, which I hope that for you. I hope that for me. But we all have to start somewhere. So start where you can. Start from where you're at and do it in little bits. And this will also teach you this one little lesson that I wish I had been taught more and more. And I don't know really why I didn't learn a lot of this. I think because in the ways that I learned how to do this, it was actually a little bit in school, and I really didn't like school. So I didn't really catch on to the lesson. But the lesson is that you're doing these things a little bit at a time. And over the course of time, you then build something big, or you then complete a task, or you eventually let go of certain things that are no longer serving you. You don't want to just take everything out of your life or really burn yourself out at doing something all at once to then just be completely exhausted and or confused. Okay? There are times and places when it is time to just be done. Okay? And if that's where you're at, you'll know. And if that's where you're at, you will have that fuel to be like, nope, I'm done. That might be a relationship. It might be, I'm not doing this laundry anymore. I'm going to have somebody else do it, and I'm going to work extra hard so that I can afford to blah blah blah. Whatever that is in your mind, whatever it is that works for you, that's what you should do. Whatever your goals are and whatever you know is really weighing you down, like, just let it go. I have a friend of mine, we were talking the other day on the phone, and she said, I probably shouldn't be paying for this housekeeper, but it helps me and my anxiety with my workload so much because I'm so busy that I don't actually have time to keep my space in order. And I said, listen, I think that's great. You are putting something in the hands of someone else, and that is something that you can do. If that's something that you can do, by all means, do that. Okay, this doesn't mean that you have to do everything. If you have the luxury of having a friend or having, the abundance to be able to alleviate some of your stress, do that. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are still working in these programs, even people who maybe they came from poverty. And I know that some of us that have this lack thing in us, that's like this survival thing, right? And we all have done it for the most part. And it can seep in, and that lack, that feeling of lack, has us holding on to things that don't serve us. And it's like we're preparing for something. And I think that this got really bad after lockdown too for some people. And so they feel guilty about investing in the things that they know are better for them, and they feel guilty about getting rid of things and people and things that are making them feel heavy. And that's because of this attachment to lack and fear. And the root cause of a lot of not wanting to let go, let's use the laundry for an example. Wouldn't it be nice if you just had less things to tend to? I mean, for me, I think that's great, right? And I've learned a hard lesson. I owned a house, and I know how many things I had to do and think of versus when I was renting, right? It's a completely different list of to-dos. And if they become overwhelming, that's when you either need to have help, hire help, or you need to start checking things off that list that are no longer serving you, or maybe you don't need, and strategically add them back in or don't, depending on where you're at and where you want to be and where you want to go. And I try to be broad with a lot of this stuff because I think that a lot of us really struggle with a lot of the same things when it comes to letting go and that lack mentality. And I think that we can brainwash ourselves to even imagine how it feels when we're done with the task, or when we have let go of someone or something in our life. So I think this is actually a brilliant way to decide if it's the right choice for you. And I think that a lot of people forget that they have the ability to do this. So before you make a massive decision on letting something go, think about how you're going to feel, okay? And how do you want to feel? That's where we get these two things mixed up, because a lot of times we'll imagine how we'll feel based on fear. But imagine you tackled your fear because this thing that you need to get rid of and let go of is in the way. It could be small or it could be big. There are so many people. Why do you think people downsize as they get older? Because they realize having so much stuff and so many things, they just want to simplify. They're done with the chaos. People run out of steam. There's no reason to have your environment and to have you mentally up here full of stuff. And if you can't do it physically yet, and if you're really stuck in survival mode, I want to do this little exercise where you close your eyes. Okay, I'm going to teach this to you. Close your eyes in through the nose for as long as you can. Okay, take a deep breath in through the nose as long as you can till you just full of air, and then hold it up at the top of your head. Okay, hold it, hold it, hold it, and you're going to hold it. Okay, Hold it for 10 seconds if you can, and then let it out through your mouth until there's nothing left. Okay, just breathe out, breathe out. Do this a couple of times. Oh, here we go. Welcome to Key West. When you do this, this is putting oxygen back in your system, okay? This is helping reset everything. You don't even have to worry about it. Give yourself 5 minutes of breathing, any kind of breathing exercise. You can find them on YouTube. Breathing, and only focus on that breathing. And then try to not have any thoughts. Okay, so focus on the breathing part. And if you're still find yourself having those floating thoughts, try to see them as little particles blowing through the wind and let them keep going. Let them keep going. Don't focus on them. Just kind of see them in your mind as these little passing by things that are just going to keep going. And teach yourself in that moment to let go. Now, I had to do this to help rumination. I've had to do this with physical belongings. I've had to do this with relationships. I've had to do this with creating new habits. Letting go and learning to have a little bit less for a while so that you can learn what you want to add back in is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, especially when you're rebuilding and healing. We live in this culture where it's like everybody wants, needs, more. It's really unfortunate because it's like everybody's just consuming and they're not unwiring and letting go of things. And when this happens, you start to just feel like full. Do you ever feel that way where you're just like, I am exhausted. I'm totally overwhelmed. Everything is too heavy. I can't add another thing to my schedule. And I don't know how I'm going to come up for air. How in the heck am I going to survive through this? What am I going to do next? Life is too much. Okay. I just got chills because that is how a lot of people are operating because we're in survival mode and we've got to get ourselves out of survival mode so that we can then repair ourselves, so that we can then rewire ourselves, add in what serves us, get rid of what doesn't. It's the greatest gift. And sometimes this means it's going to be awkward with you and other people. Sometimes this means you're going to do things and they don't quite feel right. Imagine how you want to feel. I've talked about this in many of my videos. If you imagine how you want to feel, not imagining the feeling you fear. Those are the two main things I want you to take from this video. If you take anything, is that there is a difference between imagining your fear of what might happen, which would be kind of like, I don't want to get rid of that because I don't want to. Okay, but why don't you want to? Because it reminds me of this one time and it was a really nice memory. Okay. Fair. So can you take a picture of it and put it away? Do you think you're going to go back and look at it? Maybe. Okay. But we have to be so intentional about what is on us and around us, whether it's physical items, emotions, relationships, all of it. Babe, you could do this and you'll feel so much lighter. And listen, I am literally starting my life over. I'm having to do this. I was nearly forced, I think, in a way to do this. And I have not necessarily done it gracefully. I film these videos because these are things that have helped me and I want to help other people. I cannot be the only person going through this. I know that I'm going to be 40 in August, and so that's in 1 month. So depending on when you're seeing this video, just remember that no matter how old you are or how young you are or where you're at in life, this is a timeless lesson and gift. The two things I want you to take from this video. I'm going to say it again. Learn the difference when you imagine how you're going to feel when you accomplish something that you want the outcome of. Don't imagine the fear. Don't imagine the feeling, the fear of, oh, it's going to be so bad. Like it's like going on a big hike, going up the hill. Okay. Oh, it's going to be so hard and I just don't want to do it. Okay. But the people that are true hikers and they are true climbers think about being at the top. They think about that being at the top and they think about the journey of going there and what they're going to learn on the way. I have some really good friends in Colorado and I've been watching them post about hiking in Colorado. And it's so cool to see how they're changing, their pace, and they post these photos along the way. And then they talk about what it feels like to be at the top. And then they get back to the bottom, which is a whole nother journey where it's like, wow, a sense of accomplishment once you arrive back home after that. Okay. I want you to focus like a hiker, focus like a climber, focus like someone who is excited about reaching that goal, and then benefits that you will reap on the other side. Okay? That's what you want to focus on, not the, oh, it's going to be hard. We know it's going to be hard. Or, oh, it's going to hurt so bad. Yeah, it is going to hurt. Or, that's so not like me. Good, good. Babe, maybe it's time to change. And so, you're allowed to change. And guess what? You're allowed to try stuff on for size. You're allowed to make mistakes. So if you need to take a break from someone, or you need to get rid of something in your life, you're allowed to take that time for yourself and figure that out. And if these people and these things don't understand that, that's on them. And you have to be okay with learning about people's true colors and learning about the feeling of if you really needed or didn't need the thing that you got rid of. I'm telling you, we were born with everything we need right in our body. I'm learning to accept this every single day. Every single day. I have not mastered this. It is so difficult. And sometimes there are seasons where we have less and we miss people and we have to distance ourselves from certain situations because we're not sure where we're at ourselves. We have to have that time. And anyone who loves you will not disrespect that. And if they cannot understand that you are growing and you communicate that you're growing and you're hurt and or you're healing and or maybe you're just kind of going through a self-reflecting chapter, that's what we're here to do. Anybody in my life that's ever done that, I have mad respect for. In fact, it makes me love them more. Okay. Speaking of my friends in Colorado, they moved to Colorado because they needed a change of scenery. They needed more. They wanted to grow more. They wanted to experience more while they're still young enough to be able to hike, to be able to do things in their community. I mean, a lot of people would say, who would leave the Florida Keys? Well, guess what? There's a huge world out there. The Florida Keys are amazing. Key West is amazing. It is. But sometimes it's time to remove certain things, even if they're good, right? And put something new in there and take that space to understand. My friends went out to Colorado to see if that was something that they would want to do. And I don't even think it was intentional when they went to visit. Okay. And then they realized with enough space, they were like, you know what? This is the right decision. This is on big scales and it can be on small scales. Like, do I really need that many tops? Do I need that many pairs of shoes? Do I need that many people in my life that I talk to every single day? Or do I need to minimize my conversations with people? The moment you start to kind of lower the bar down, not necessarily for your standards, but to align with what your core value system is, go back into your cognitive behavioral therapy and practice, because your prefrontal cortex is going to be like, huh? Like it's not going to understand, okay? Because we are creatures of habit, even if the habit isn't good. So we get in the habit of not letting go. Let go. Let go and see what happens. Just try it. And remember, I'm going to say it one more time. If you take anything away from this video, learn the difference between the feeling of fear and the feeling of resistance, and then the feeling on the other side of that of getting what you want. Because if you live in at least 16 seconds of the feeling, it goes beyond the fear and goes beyond the hurt and it goes beyond the, I don't know if I want to do that. Like that uncomfortable resistance. Find that path of least resistance and live in that feeling. That's why, a lot of billionaires will talk about living in the end and working their way backwards. And it's because that's the mindset that you need to get the results that you want. It's not going to happen if you're focused on what you don't want to get rid of. If you're just like, I know I need to break up with this person and they're abusive and I don't know what to do. And oh my gosh, that was me. And I sat there and I made excuses for this person, for many people, many, many excuses for many, many years. Then I ended up looking like the crazy person when this person finally broke all trust ever with me. These people, there's more than one, there's more than two. I mean, there is a list because this is life and this happens. But, looking back, no wonder everybody else was like, oh yeah, she's really losing it, isn't she? because I lied for this person. Why? Because I was holding on to something that I knew I needed to let go of. I needed to let go of it, and I was afraid, and I was focused on trying to fix that person. I was focused on hoping and praying and loving unconditionally to a fault, to the point where I brought myself underwater with this person, started to feel crazy. I started to lose myself. This is nonsense, you guys. That is not what life is about. And if you are around people that make you feel low, distance yourself. If you are in a house that's cluttered, start to organize it little by little, baby steps. And if you can take these baby steps, you're going to get there in a smoother way, versus if you're just like, that's it. And by the way, like I said, if you're that's it, that's fine. But hang in there. And don't forget, stay in the feeling of the result that you want, at least for 16, 17 seconds. And that's going to create the momentum of pushing you in the direction of where you want to be. Imagine the feeling that you want to feel, and you'll get there faster. All right? I hope that helps you. Let go of what's not serving you today, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.